New York Mafia still active, but flashy mob hits decline as witnesses flip and law hits harder. The rapid burst of gunfire, the man mortally wounded in the street, the news media swarming the scene knew the slaying of Francesco "Frankie Boy" Colli, a reputed Gambino crime family boss, on Wednesday night had many of the earmarks of a classic mob hit, in a New York City neighborhood said to be home to Italian-American mobsters. But it also had some modern tweaks. Colli, 53, was shot outside his home, rather than in a public place away from his family, after apparently being lured outside when someone crashed a pickup truck into Colli's parked SUV. And the killing was capped. Still, mob hits of top bosses are now rare, a further sign of the Mafia's steady decline since its peak of power and influence in the mid-1980s. The legendary fight, "They don't have the power they had in the 80s or the early 90s, said J. Bruce Mao, a former FBI special agent who headed the investigations into former mob boss John Gotti and the Gambino family for 2 decades. The important, another crucial blow to organized crime, Mao said, was the Bureau took away all the unions. The Gambino family. Colli's death was considered the first slaying of a mob boss since the 1985 killing of Paul Castellano, the Gambino boss gunned down outside a Midtown Manhattan steakhouse. That hit was engineered. There was an unusual aspect to Colli's death. It happened in front of his house in Staten Island, where many other mobsters live. It's pretty significant. The shooting was captured on surveillance video, New York Chief of Detectives Dermot Shea said Thursday in a news conference. Colli went out. Bratton said investigators would look at whether the slaying was the result of internal tensions in the Gambino family, or was an external hit from one of the other crime families. If it's an external, FBI agents were working the shooting alongside New York homicide detectives, and Bratton said that was another reason the Mafia's presence had decreased. There's a lot of Mao cited 2 other reasons for the decrease in high-profile hits: a federal law passed in 1998 imposing a life sentence in murder-for-hire cases, and the willingness of Mafia members to cooperate. You're a 30-year, the potential for life sentences, as opposed to 10 or 15 years behind bars, led to a new stream of informants, most notably Sammy the Bull Gravano, who turned on Gotti and was handled by Mao. You develop witnesses. Mao said one theory police are considering in the Colli killing was a rift in the Gambino family between the Sicilians and the Italian Americans. Colli was born in. Shea noted there had been a slight uptick in mob violence in New York recently. In October, another reason for the mob's decline is the decreasing Italian-American population in New York, said Bratton, and J. Albanese, a criminologist and organized crime expert at Virginia Commonwealth University. Albanese said Italians no longer seem to be exerting influence in areas where they were once either dominant or taking a financial cut, such as massage parlors. Bratton said Mao and Bratton both said the famed omerta, or code of silence, is gone from the Mafia, enabling authorities to solve crime sooner. Essentially,
raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.